Thanks for tuning in to our video this week. We're the Sierra Club in Wisconsin, coming with our weekly video. This week we're talking about the proposed golf course near Kohler Andre State Park. And I've got two Lands team members joining me today, Rose and Cynthia, and they'll kick us off by talking about why they're concerned about this project. So Cynthia, if you'd like to start, that'd be great.
Thanks, Cassie. Cassie's been our leader on the Lands team from the get-go, and we really appreciate her. And she makes it a lot of fun. So a little bit about me. Even though I was born in Indiana, I was raised in Michigan, and our family time growing up in the 50s consisted a lot of going to the. And in my teenage years, my girlfriend and I would drive her little Corvair over to South Beach and enjoy Lake Michigan a great deal. It was, our senior trip went there. Senior skip day was on Lake Michigan. So I have a lot of history with that lake. And in my lifetime, I've seen a lot of things that happened with it, starting as a child with the insurgence of alewives lining the shores, so you really couldn't even get near the water without it being very unpleasant. I lived in Chicago for 4 years on my first job as a paralegal, and it was about that time that the Asian carp issue came into being. And so while living in Illinois, I got to work on Lake Michigan, and then came back to Wisconsin, lived in Kenosha and Sheboygan. And while I was in Sheboygan, the Kohler Andre issue came into focus. I have 2 daughters that live in that city, and a total of 5 grandchildren. I was really enjoying that park. When I came to visit, we would always go there with the grandkids and sit on the beach. And, I would walk those beautiful designated trails that they have through the sand dunes, which are wildlife preserves. So you can't actually walk on them. You have to stay on the boardwalk. And it was just such an inspiring time to be there. I got to camp. We did races through there, and really, really made my stay in Sheboygan all the more worthwhile. And, when I found out that Kohler Company wanted to build yet another golf course on those designated state park lands, even though they contributed to the state park being there, I was really dismayed and disappointed. Now, I have a golf professional in my family who lives in that city, my son-in-law. And so I understand the world of golf because of him. And it's a great sport. It does a lot of good to raise young men in that sport. It gives them good values. But believe me, there are plenty of golf courses already in Kohler, Wisconsin and Sheboygan. Plus, one of the other things I'd like to share is that when I moved out of the state and lived in California, I got involved with saving the San Francisco Bay from wetland development. So I actually understood what was going on there in Kohler. Having a background with the knowledge that wetlands are probably one of the most endangered land types in the world. And we have so overdeveloped in those regions because of the flatness, everybody wants to build there, that it's really taken away from the ability for wildlife to reproduce, which is one of their main focuses. They sequester the carbon dioxide in the air even better than forests do. And also, another thing that they do is they filter the water to keep that lake clean, that Lake Michigan that it sits on. And we know that Lake Michigan has enough challenges right now. So that's why I want to protect it and why I hope that you will join us. And we'll talk about how you can do that a little later.
Thank you, Cynthia. You made some really excellent points. And I think the main thing that I take away from what you just said is how personal this is for people. This kind of hurts. You know, you can tell people that this is a globally rare interdunal wetland, and it maybe seems kind of abstract, but when you talk about, you know, going there with your children and your grandchildren, many people have been going to Kohler Andre their entire lives, and they know that it's an incredibly peaceful and pristine landscape. And we want to preserve it in our hearts. We want to preserve it. And what Kohler Company wants to do is they want to turn that little quiet, sleepy entrance to Kohler Andre State Park into a 4-lane road, essentially a highway with a rotary to lead to their golf course. They want to build that golf course on their own land. It's supposedly private land. But, you know, as Cynthia was pointing out, it contains a globally rare wetland. It contains a beech forest and a Wisconsin hardwood forest, birch forest. Birch trees are there. These are old growth trees. Some of these trees are 200 years old. And yes, carbon sequestration is important for both the wetland and the forest. There's the air in Sheboygan is pretty dirty. That Lake Michigan air is quite dirty. There's a lot of manufacturing. There's a lot of traffic. The land is important for those reasons. But Kohler Company has said repeatedly that they're going to be minimal in their intrusiveness, but there's only 247 acres up there. And they're going to need at least 180 acres to build that golf course. So are they going to preserve 7 acres for us? They're also going to build a restaurant, a clubhouse, a large parking lot for the cars, for a golf course that's going to be championship grade golf course. That it will cost up to, during the peak season, $500 a day to visit. That's not really something that most families in Wisconsin are going to be interested in doing. And they're pretty much going to destroy that park in order to do it, because not only do they want to build a 4-lane rotary through the entrance to the park, but right at the entrance to the park, they want to build a 22,000-foot maintenance facility to store chemicals and golf course equipment. I mean, the character of Kohler Andre Park will be completely changed. And as Cynthia pointed out, John Michael Kohler originally donated that land, back in the 19th century. He and another man, Terry Andre, who was also a successful Wisconsin businessman, together donated the land to the park. But I don't think the state really felt, or the people of the state really felt, that meant that, you know, when the time came, the Kohlers could do whatever they wanted with it. So, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Rose. I really appreciate that additional information, and very helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. So you both talked about why this is important. I'm wondering, Rose, if you could talk about the status of the project. You know, where has it come from? Where is it at now?
There's good news and bad news. The project started during the Walker administration, when a different mindset dominated in Wisconsin, and that mindset was pro-business, and business gets what it wants. But nevertheless, despite that fact, the Friends of the Black River Forest, a group of neighbors in the town of Wilson, were appalled at what was happening both to the state park and to the Kohler land, and they sued the DNR. The DNR had given Kohler Company a permit to build there, and because of Friends of the Black River Forest, 5 years later, this all started in 2014, they still haven't done any building. An administrative law judge revoked Kohler's permit, said that their environmental impact statement was shoddy and really was nothing but more than a fantasy, essentially. And he also said that Friends of the Black River Forest had standing to sue Kohler Company or sue the DNR, and that Kohler should pay Friends of the Black River Forest back to the tune of $70,000 for their legal fees. Kohler objected to both of those things and took them to court. Recently, the Court of Appeals in Wisconsin decided that Friends of the Black River Forest did have standing and that Kohler did owe them the money. So that was good news. Josh Call had weighed in on Kohler's suit, and Kohler then decided to go to the Supreme Court. But the Supreme Court is not going to hear the case. So as far as that goes, that part of it is now dead because the Supreme Court has decided that the Court of Appeals decision was correct. However, Kohler also sued to have the permit to build the golf course reinstated, to revoke the revocation, essentially. And that has not yet been decided. It's in Judge Stingel's court, Circuit Court of Sheboygan County. And he has said that he will make a decision before he retires, which is supposed to be in July of this year. He's had this for almost 2 years. It'll be 2 years by the time we finally get a decision from him. And I think that is actually maybe not such a bad sign. I feel optimistic about that simply because the facts of the case are so strong. And the administrative law judge did such an excellent job going through that permit. In the meantime, the Great Waters Group of Sierra Club was interested in joining with the Wisconsin Society for Ornithology and suing the city of Sheboygan, who had given Kohler a conditional use permit to start building if that permit is restored by the court and they have a legal permit to construct the golf course. So we got pretty nervous about that. A lot of people did, and Friends of the Black River Forest asked us to engage legally with that. However, our attorney, Kathleen Henry, has decided that that is just not doable because of some very narrowly focused zoning laws in Sheboygan. The plaintiff in this case has to live within 200 feet of the proposed Kohler golf course. And we simply can't find a plaintiff. Only a handful of people live there and have that sort of claim. So we're not going to be doing that. But, however, I was speaking with Carl Schrader this morning, who is the conservation chair of Wisconsin Society for Ornithology. And he said some really good things about Kohler Company and its potential. And I said that, we were thinking, the lands team and Sierra Club was thinking of doing a corporate campaign on this and getting more people engaged. And he said he thought that would be a really good idea and that Wisconsin Society for Ornithology would like to participate. And basically what he said was that this is just Herb Kohler's hobby, that Kohler doesn't really make money in its hospitality business. They have 5 golf courses right now in Sheboygan without the new one. And yes, there are altogether 16 golf courses in Sheboygan, and some of those are championship courses. Some of those there's a Jack Parr course in Sheboygan that's supposed to be really good. So the idea that you're bringing golf to Sheboygan and this is going to be great for the people there, it's kind of, it's kind of silly. It's far-fetched because they've got plenty of opportunities to golf there.
I believe there's a municipal golf course too, isn't there?
Yeah, I think that's one of them, 16. They love golf in Sheboygan.
Yes, they do.
In fact, surfing. Yeah, I think it'd be great to get your son-in-law's name because we need some connections who play golf, who are professional golfers. Yes, that would be very helpful, I think.
We worked with a golf association on a project on the Pacific coast here and on same kinds of issues. So yeah, very good idea.
That's great. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Rose, for that update. I'm sure that a lot of people who are watching this video are looking for ways that they can get involved, things they can do to help. So what would both of you say to someone who said that they're concerned about this or want to take action?
First of all, I would say write Herb Kohler a letter and also write to Laura Kohler, the Vice President of Sustainability, and to David Kohler, the current CEO of the company, and tell them how you feel. There are 11 endangered species there and species of concern. This golf course, which also has the potential to leak pretty dangerous chemicals into a sandy aquifer and to harm people's water. It's such a terrible plan, for a wealthy man's hobby. It just seems to me that there could be more useful things done here. I think it might also be a good idea to contact the EPA. Endangered species, both flora and fauna. I mean, there are endangered birds. There are endangered plants there. I think the Environmental Protection Agency might have something to say about protecting those things. There's also been some suggestion that it should be a natural heritage site because of the Indian mound there,
Yes.
because of all of the pottery that's been found there. I mean, there's so many things going on this 247-acre stretch of land. I just want everyone to tell all their friends to get in touch with the Sierra Club so that we can start a texting campaign and start texting Kohler, having people call Kohler Company every day on a daily basis just to let them know how we feel about this. We need to engage lots of people in this so that Kohler will understand that their image as a company that respects sustainability is in peril from this development.
Yeah, boy, I got my pen in my hand right now. A lot of conservation and environmental activism is all of our business. I started out writing letters to protect the rails to trails through Kenosha when I lived in down there. And when that succeeded and we were able to keep that make it a bike trail, I felt so empowered. And I want you to have that opportunity by writing a letter. For those of you who feel confident enough to do that, is a wonderful thing. And please do send us a copy. We are still formulating our campaign on the lands team, and we would invite you to become a part of that team to help us make those plans. It's virtual in the very near future, where you'll be able to visit and participate and see Kohler Andre State Park. Other things I would recommend is plugging in. If you're not a Sierra Club member, you don't have to be, but we would love to have you, and that those funds would go to help, raise money to make this a successful campaign. But yeah, if you're on Nest or Home or Patch or any of those community online platforms, that's a good place to share. Maybe send a link of this video out. You can certainly contact the committee and we will work with you.
Well, thank you so much, both of you, for your passion on this project and the information you're sharing with Sierra Club followers and our members. Any last thoughts as we wrap up here?
This doesn't have to happen. And I feel in my heart that it's not going to. It's just wrong on so many levels. It's really going to hurt our state. It's going to hurt our state's environment, and it's going to hurt our state residents as well. And I think if you can help us convince Herb Kohler that there are better uses for his time and imagination, I would really appreciate that.
Yeah. We've certainly appreciated his work on behalf of the state in the legislature. He wasn't a bad legislator in many respects. So yeah, if we can nip this in the bud and get Kohler to do the right thing and continue that partnership with them for the good of the state, then we're all winners.